Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Di. Today I'm going to be cooking vanilla slice. Now, I think that this is known by quite a few different names in different parts of the world, but here in Australia, it's a favourite. It really is. It's a tradie's favourite apparently. Chocolate milk and a vanilla slice for morning tea. But anyway, I'm going to make one today, so let's have a look what I'm going to be doing. So here I've got puff pastry. I've got 2 baking trays with puff pastry on them. Now, normally puff pastry is just what it says, it's going to puff up. But we don't want it to puff right up, because if we do, what's going to happen is it's going to go all wonky and big, and we don't want it that way. So I'm just pricking it to try and eliminate some of that. And I just have to go and get my baking paper. I'm going to cover it with some baking paper, and I'm going to weigh it down so that it doesn't rise and go all wonky, because we don't want it that way. So let's see, we're going to weigh it down with just some baking dishes, which are quite heavy. So they don't cover the whole thing, that's the issue. Let's see what else I can do. Here we go. I've got some baking trays, and then I'll weigh that down so that that covers it a bit more. Yeah, that one's a good one. Right, I'm going to pop them in the oven and cook them for about 20 to 25 minutes on 160 degrees fan forced. That's Celsius. While that's cooking, I'm going to make the custard. So this is an egg yolk custard, so we need to separate our eggs. I'm just putting the whites into a bowl here now. If you haven't got any use for the whites, just pop them in the freezer, and they'll be ready for when you want them. We need the whites in here and the yolks in the saucepan. So we need 4. Just be really careful when you're doing this that you don't get any of your egg yolk into your whites, because if you're wanting to whip them up, any tiny little bit of egg yolk, you won't be able to do it. It won't work. So there we have our egg yolks. And to our egg yolks, we're going to add 1/2 cup of caster sugar. And we're going to mix this and you need to mix it really thoroughly, so you need to mix it for at least 3 to 5 minutes. Now once we've finished mixing that, we're going to add our corn flour. So we use 1/2 cup of corn flour, and we just mix that in. So here's my corn flour. Right, once we've mixed that through, we add our milk. Once all the corn flour has been mixed in, we then gradually add our milk. Okay, now we have to take that over to the stove and we're going to cook this. So we're just working on a medium heat and we're just going to be stirring this until it boils, and then we need to boil it for 2 minutes and it will thicken. Now I find it's best to use a whisk to do this, that avoids lumps. So we'll come back when that's closer to boiling point, because it's only on medium heat. It will take a while to get up to boiling. Now, it's getting very hot now and it's just starting to thicken slightly. There it goes, it's just starting to thicken now, and we need to be really whisking that vigorously, otherwise it's going to get lumps. So there we go, you can see how that's thickened up. And we just need to boil that for 2 minutes. And once it's boiled for 2 minutes, we turn the heat off and we add our vanilla essence. Now we need to cool this down, and normally you'd use plastic, you know, some plastic wrap to do this with, but I'm just using the baking paper that was left over from cooking the pastry. So I've crumpled that up, and then I've wetted it down a little bit, just run it under the water, and then that's on top of that. So that'll do the same job as a plastic will, but I'm not using plastic, which I prefer not to. And I'm also not wasting the parchment paper. Okay, so we've got our pastry out of the oven and it's cooled down. And the next thing we need to do is to do the assembly. So I'll just move these out the way. I'll get a board there. Now this is what I'm going to be making it in, so I just need to cut it to size. There's not too much to trim off there. Need to trim the corners. that off. And let's see how we go for size. That's a bit long. Still just a little bit long. Okay, there we go. There's the base done. Now we'll get our custard. Okay, just peeling that off. And just smooth out our custard. And now we have to get the top piece on. And there we go. So we've got that done. Now the next step is to make our icing. So there's no real measurements here with the icing. Oh, here we go. So we're just going to fill our bowl with icing sugar, about 2 cups there. And we're making a passion fruit icing. So I've got my passion fruit. Depends on how juicy your passion fruit are as to how many we're going to need. So we'll just scoop our passion fruit into our icing sugar. I'll add one more. Now that's actually turned out a little too runny, so I'm just going to add a little bit more icing sugar. Okay, need a bigger spoon to be doing the mixing there. Still a little too runny, just add a little bit more. Almost there. And that's it. We'll bring that back. Okay, there we have it. Now we just put it in the fridge. We'll leave that for a few hours or overnight and ready to serve.